Well, good morning. It is a great honor to be here, and there's a number of other places that I'm going to be at before the day is over. But this is my hometown. This is where I spend my nights, if not all of my days, and I'm very grateful to be here with my neighbors and friends on a day like today. Permit me just a personal comment before the more general comment. I'm honored to share this with my good friend, the state senator, Shelley Mayer, who's with us here today. She's been introduced, she deserves a reintroduction, and County Legislator Catherine Parker. And of course, Mayor Cohen of the City Council, and Steve Otis, the Assemblyman, who will speak after me. This is also a very important day in my life, because 40 years ago this very day, down the street at one of those fine churches on Church Row, I stood at the altar 40 years ago this day and said, "I do," to a young girl, Robin Phelps, from Rye, New York. I don't know what you thought your 40th wedding anniversary would be like for those who've been married 40 years. I didn't picture it being like this, but I'm very honored, like Jack Kennedy once said, to be the man that escorted Jackie Kennedy to Paris, while I'm the man that escorted Robin Phelps Latimer here to the Village Green, and to see her with all of her great accomplishment. On the moment of the day, as the mayor said, we hear the Gettysburg Address, and the other great work of poetry that we hear on this day is Flanders Field. We almost all know it by heart if we never had to memorize it in school. In the opening stanza, it says, "In Flanders Field, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amidst the guns below." The poem goes on to talk about what happened during that war. And on the monument that we have here, that monument refers to a war that we now refer to as World War I, before any of our time on the planet. If there is someone here who was alive as a baby during World War I, they would already be over 100 years of age. And of course, what we found out was at the time it was called the Great War, and the war to end all wars, and of course it was not the war to end all wars. Within just 20 years, an even greater, more devastating war came. And there have been wars since then. And the plaque that we have here that honors those who died in World War II and Vietnam speak to the fact that in the human condition, there's always war. There's war right now in Ukraine. And there's police actions that are the equivalent of war in many other parts of the world. So we're here on a Memorial Day to remember that despite all of the other things that Memorial Day might be, at its core, this is the day to remember those who died, and almost all at a young age, for us. And it is very difficult to appreciate when you don't know the actual individuals whose name you see, as to what happens when a 20 or 22-year-old young man or woman, because there are women as well that died in these wars, when a 22-year-old young man dies thousands of miles away from this Village Green, or in any of the other places that those of us who will be traveling will see today, and all these other wonderful little hometowns that make up Westchester, multiplied by all the hometowns all across this nation. That a person 22 years old never had the opportunity that I did to stand at that altar and say, "I do." That 22-year-old person never had the chance to see the miracle of childbirth and hold a baby in your arms that you are the father to, and say, "Oh my God, this is my child. Isn't this wonderful?" Or to watch that child graduate at Rye High School, or to watch that child have a wedding day, and to watch that child bring grandchildren into this world. Those young folks who died those days never had a chance to enjoy a World Series where their team is in the World Series, or their team is in the Stanley Cup Finals. All of that they sacrificed at Pork Chop Hill. All of that